A big hello and Happy New Year, everyone. I want to acknowledge all the challenges and frustrations we have had to negotiate due to the pandemic. I am expecting 2022 will see improvements in that regard. This course is EDPY 301, an Introduction to Inclusive Education, Adapting Instruction for Students with Special Needs. I am Joanne Weber, and I am the instructor for this section. Our ASL English interpreter is Tracy Hetman. The teaching assistant for this section is Sandra Romero Carrion. I want to begin with a brief discussion of Zoom meeting etiquette. The online learning experience is so different from the offline experience that I thought it worthwhile to cover some ground rules so we all understand the expectations going forward. Firstly, be sure to mute your microphone when not speaking. This eliminates unwanted background noise interference. You know what I mean, sounds of eating, children calling out, or dogs barfing. The kinds of things none of us wants to hear. I do have the ability to mute participants. If there is bothersome noise coming through, then I will mute it. During the synchronous part of the course, please turn on your video. As a deaf instructor, seeing students' faces, facial expressions, in particular your responses to the material, is important to me. In the event you are having technical difficulties, that would be a permissible reason to turn off your video. You can also turn off your video if someone is distracting, like, I don't know, housemates running around after each other in the background. Put your questions or comments in the chat window to avoid interrupting the speaker. Alternatively, you can use the raised hand icon to indicate you have a question you would like to ask in front of the group. Keep chat comments and questions on topic. It's not the time to share stories about your pet cat or rabbit or the goings-on at pub night. Stick to course content. Pay attention to the contributions of all participants. Grab your coffee beforehand, not during class. Now I'll share a little bit more about my background. I am from Saskatchewan, where we are crazy about supporting our football team. Go Riders, go! Sadly, we did not make it to the Grey Cup this year. Oh well. I was born and raised in Saskatchewan. I was born profoundly deaf. I am still physically in Regina. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, I have yet to relocate to Edmonton, not only because of the risk of infection from the pandemic, but also because of the mask mandate. Communication for me is significantly disrupted when dealing with people wearing masks. I need to speech read and I need to see people's faces, even if they are using sign language. When someone is signing and wearing a mask, we can't see important facial grammar and facial expressions, so it's difficult to understand what's being said, whether it's English or ASL. So I have opted to stay put until the masking mandate is lifted. I am profoundly deaf and I am culturally deaf. By culturally deaf, I mean that I identify as a deaf person who uses American Sign Language and observes the norms of the deaf culture. I have been an active member of the deaf community for many years. Formerly, I was a teacher of the deaf in a resource program with deaf and hard of hearing students. I worked in that role for about 17 years, at which point I felt a change was needed, and I decided to pursue my doctoral studies at the University of Regina. When I lecture in ASL, Tracy will interpret into English. You may have already noticed that my presentation is formatted differently. Typically, presentations with interpreters have them inserted in a separate, smaller window in a corner of the screen. For deaf participants, they are not easy to see, which raises the question of language equity. If the talking head was relegated to a small window, that would be okay, because their audience can hear them regardless of the size of their video window. Hearing their presentations doesn't require space, but sign language requires space. So the question becomes, how much space does or can be allocated? The bigger the space, the better the language equity. In sign language, we are expressing and attending or listening to multiple language features and input at the same time. Mouth movements combined with eyebrow movements need to be clearly seen in conjunction with the actual manual signs in order to understand what's being said. The smaller space allocated to the signer, the harder it is to understand. Another difference you'll notice is the font size of the text portion of the slides. This is to accommodate audience members who may have vision difficulties. You will see my material presented in this format. Let's move on to discussing the course itself. This is an introductory course which will examine approaches for adapting classroom instruction and the environment for diverse learners. You'll begin to develop a problem-solving approach to your teaching in order to provide classroom learning opportunities for all learners. This is tough. I'll tell you here and now, this is not easy. I was a classroom teacher for more than 25 years, and believe me, this is the challenge. You'll be collaborating with peers to identify pedagogical issues pertaining to inclusive education. You're expected to present your oral and written communications and evaluations professionally. We are discouraging informal and familiar writing styles, even in email. Writing that recognizes the position of your reader. Writing that is professional, respectful, so that in turn you will earn the respect of your reader. This course covers 3 broad topics, which I will go on to describe for you. Firstly, we'll be exploring teacher beliefs and attitudes about inclusion and disabilities. How many of you have actually worked with persons with disabilities before? It's likely not many of you have had significant interactions. So we'll be exploring your attitudes, doing some fairly in-depth self-analysis about your thoughts, feelings, etc. in this regard. In Alberta, inclusive education is considered a way of thinking differently and acting differently. It's not doing the same thing as usual and then at the last minute making some small adjustments as a token gesture towards accommodating a learner. This requires a shift in mindset and attitude. Teaching from an inclusive education mindset is a challenge because we teachers want to keep it simple by teaching from one book, one curriculum guide, one instructional approach. But we know one size does not fit all. Admittedly, it's tough to meet the diverse learning needs of the different students in the classroom. As a teacher, it falls to you to make educational decisions that are based on the best interests of each and every student, not on your needs. I have seen it. Teachers are tired. They're stressed. They're struggling to meet the learning needs of students with disabilities alongside other non-disabled students in the classroom. This course will help you develop skills and approaches to meet the needs of everyone. This course will help you to begin to develop understandings of learners with disabilities and begin to explore strategies related to establishing, promoting, and sustaining inclusive learning environments where diversity is embraced and openly welcomed. An inclusive environment means every student feels welcome, safe, and cared for. The main questions addressed by this course are: how can we create a learning environment that engages students and helps them learn? How can we create a learning environment that allows all students to achieve their full potential to the best of their abilities? How does the learner-teacher relationship impact learning and student success? What does competence look like, sound like? What it sounds like may not be a factor for a deaf person, but we would want to look at language competencies. How can we help our students build growth mindsets, develop positive attitudes towards learning? What does that even mean, growth mindsets? In fact, there is a substantial body of research in this area that can be applied to inclusive education. After we cover inclusive education as a broader topic, then we're going on to the second topic, which we'll be discussing universal design for learning or differentiating instruction. What is universal design for learning and how does it support differentiating instruction for students with diverse needs? We'll explore what differentiating instruction actually means, what it looks like practically to accommodate the learning needs of each student. We'll explore the benefits of differentiating instruction by understanding the key elements of UDL. The third broad topic we'll be looking at is scaffolding and peer supports. We'll be exploring this in terms of what is meant by scaffolding and what it actually entails. We will also be discussing how we can leverage technology as an instructional support. Now let's go into the course components in more detail. The bulk of the course will be asynchronous, which allows you to schedule your time in what way best meets your needs. We are cognizant that you have competing demands on your time, whether you're juggling work, school, family, etc. So this course is designed to enable you to access course material whenever it is convenient for you. Information about assignments, quizzes, final exams is available on the course website and easily accessible to you. Much of the learning will be independent study. Through eClass, you'll have access to the Zoom meeting links, course outline, course schedule, and information about how you will be evaluated. The required text can be accessed through the publisher's website and is titled Other Ways of Seeing Inclusive Education. Review the material on eClass for the weekly schedule of topics and activities. There are different evaluation components to determine your understanding of the course content. There are 3 assignments, each of which is fully described in eClass, including submission deadline, date, and time. Late assignments will not be accepted. There will be 3 quizzes. Questions for the quizzes will be taken from the required reading. Quizzes will be completed in eClass, and you will have 2 attempts to complete each quiz. So if something goes wrong, you do get a second chance. The final exam will be all-inclusive of the material covered throughout the entire semester. The final exam is not limited to the content since the previous quiz. To reiterate, the final exam will include all of the course content covered throughout the term. That's why I chose this graphic for my slide. It's the ring of fire. The final exam will be written through eClass and is open book and open notes. You are free to refer to whatever you wish. However, there is a time limit to completing the exam, so it behooves you to be well prepared before you begin and not waste time looking for answers in your material. You will need to understand the course content in order to respond to the exam questions effectively and efficiently. Don't expect to do well by relying on searching your text and notes for answers in real time during the exam. Now, what can you expect from this course? As I mentioned before, most of the course content is presented asynchronously. Pre-recorded lectures will first be presented during class time on Tuesdays. So you have a choice. You can go into eClass and view the lecture on your own time, or you can attend the lecture during our scheduled class time on Tuesdays. And during breaks between the recorded lectures, you can engage in discussions about the content covered. This allows you the chance to engage with your peers synchronously. Thursday class times will run as seminars, allowing you the opportunity to create your own understandings of the content covered on the previous Tuesday. The seminars allow you to reflect on your learning and to ask questions. I will be present there personally on Thursdays. Consider it tutorial time, where we can discuss anything related to the course. Occasionally, guest speakers will be presenting on Thursdays. So keep that in mind. Thursdays will be seminars or guest lectures. Now, what do we expect from you? We expect you to complete the assigned tasks and readings. It's important that you do all the reading assigned and to keep up with the reading schedule. Be warned, this course requires a lot of reading. We expect you to complete the quizzes and the final exam. We expect and hope you will ask questions. Don't be timid to ask questions. Please, ask away. Now I am happy to respond to any questions you may have. Thank you for attending the lecture.